Senior national correspondent Aishah Hasnie is live at the White House for this. Hey, Aishah.
Hey, Jackie, good morning to you. So the White House is really trying to press pause on this narrative in the Garcia investigation and case and really trying to reset and reframe. And they were able to do that yesterday with this really jaw-dropping, gut-wrenching moment inside the briefing room as Patty Morin really detailed all of the gory, gruesome details about her daughter Rachel's death at the hands of an illegal immigrant. And then afterwards, got a big hug from President Trump and some words of encouragement. Watch here.
Beautiful.
A dear friend.
She's a beautiful woman. She's been through hell. She's been through hell, right?
Oh, yeah.
Your daughter's looking down proud of you. You know that. Just keep it going.
So the White House is slamming Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen for not taking an interest in Rachel Morin, one of his constituents. Instead, he jumped on a plane this week and flew down to El Salvador to try and bring illegal immigrant Kilmar Abrego Garcia back here.
You have a senator in Maryland who is supposed to serve his constituents, including Patty Morin and Rachel Morin and their family. And instead, he is spending more time wasting taxpayer dollars flying to a foreign country in an attempt to bring back an illegal criminal alien foreign terrorist gang member than he ever gave the time to Patty Morin and her mourning family over the loss of his constituent. This shows you how deranged the modern-day Democrat Party has truly become.
And yesterday, Jackie, the Justice Department released a 2019 police report they say reveals Garcia's MS-13 ties. And also Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, who you just heard from, says Garcia's wife, who's been fighting for his release, filed a protective order back in 2021 citing domestic abuse. The judge in this case, by the way, just said that they will be that there is probable cause to hold the Trump administration in contempt. The White House says they will appeal and doubling down that Garcia will not come back here. Jackie.
All right, Aishah Hasnie for us at the White House. Thank you so much, Aishah. Let's bring in Republican Senator Eric Schmitt of Missouri, member of the Judiciary, Commerce, and Joint Economic Committees. Senator, I want to just pick up where Aishah left off, because this new filing yesterday from this judge overseeing the legal challenge to the president's deportation flights of a couple hundred suspected violent gang members to El Salvador, Judge Boasberg, ordered the flights turn around and bring back these illegal immigrants, and a hearing is set for Monday. An excerpt in his filing reads, "The court ultimately determines that the government's actions on that day demonstrate willful disregard for its order, sufficient for the court to conclude that probable cause exists to find the government in criminal contempt." But elsewhere in his filing, it also says that the Justice Department, should it decline to prosecute, could even appoint another attorney to prosecute the contempt case. Does this read to you, Senator, like this judge really has a personal vendetta and wants to just punish the Trump administration at this point?
100%. And I think there needs to be an investigation of how Judge Boasberg got this case in the first place. He wasn't the emergency assignment judge. He took the case at 1 in the morning. He may or may not have been tipped off that this case was being filed by an outside party. That needs to be looked at. He was also slapped down by the United States Supreme Court for interfering in core Article 2 powers, commander-in-chief powers. You can't direct foreign policy of the president from the bench. So I think this is sour grapes from Judge Boasberg. And you put it in the backdrop now of the Democrats coming off of an election loss in November where illegal immigration was either the #1 or #2 issue at any point in that campaign. They got their rear ends kicked in that election. So what do they do now? Now they're rallying all of their energy, all of their resources, all of their political will is behind a guy who was deported, an illegal criminal alien, MS-13 gang member who beats his wife. This is their cause. So I don't think they've hit rock bottom yet, Jackie. This is insane to me. I can't believe how stupid this is, but they're doing it. So let's have this debate. The American people support President Trump's effort to deport people here illegally, starting with the criminals who are here. An MS-13 gang member is at the top of the list. He was deported to his home country. Let's talk about this. I think that we ought to continue this dialogue, but the Democrats, my guess is they're not going to be, Senator Van Hollen is not going to be the only one down in El Salvador. It's just totally ridiculous. But Judge Boasberg, this is beyond judicial activism.
It's interesting, too, because, the cure for, or the remedy, I guess, for this contempt would be doing exactly what the Supreme Court has told them to do. So I struggle to see the logic in what he had done there. But separately, the border czar, Tom Homan, really tore into Democrats like Senator Van Hollen for supporting these deported, suspected gang members, including Abrego Garcia, after a lot of silence during the years of the Biden administration, when you had unchecked illegal immigration skyrocketing and also migrant crime. Listen here.
We got rid of a dangerous person, an El Salvadoran national, was returned to the country of El Salvador, so he's home. We removed him from the United States. He's a public safety threat, and that's exactly what should have happened. And I'm just disgusted that any congressional representative is going to run to El Salvador at his aid.
There's a new op-ed with the title, "Americans Get It. Trump's moves to clean up Biden's border chaos will be messy." And it argues the message from the Trump administration is cold and hard. It's not an easy thing for many Americans to hear and accept. We're a moral people. More importantly, we are not a cruel people, but we must look at the alternative, the murders and rapes committed by illegal immigrants, the devastating economic impact on our cities and towns. I wonder, Senator, when you hear from people like Rachel Morin's mom, and you put a face to some of these statistics that we hear about all the time, the 600% increase in sex trafficking, millions of Americans dying every year from fentanyl, does it help sort of reorient public thought about these deportations?
100%. I think that the truth of the matter is there's a lot of victims that lie in the wake of this 10 to 20 million people who came here illegally under Joe Biden, including hardened criminals. Venezuela emptied their prisons. Many of them are here. So I think hearing from Patty Morin yesterday was really important to reframe the issue. This is about human beings. These are about young women, mothers, who've been raped, who've been murdered by these illegal immigrants. They need to go. The Democrat Party is really exposing themselves for who they really are now, which is they believe in open borders. They don't believe in the sovereignty of our country. They think borders are arbitrary lines on maps. We're all global citizens, and everybody's got a right to be here. The energy that they put into defending somebody like this, without ever reaching out to Patty Morin, without ever voting for the Lake and Riley Act, is really unconscionable. So the Democrat Party has been captured by the left. And this is just the most recent example, but it's sad because when you hear Patty Morin give her testimony there at the podium yesterday, that room was speechless, and it should have been. There is zero coverage on that trial in the legacy media, zero coverage. Yet they were covering, this illegal criminal alien all day long yesterday.
And very quickly, because I do want to ask you about tariffs, the other side of this argument is that it's about due process and the risk that people can be swept up off the street and then disappeared to an El Salvador prison, especially when the president has expressed some, inquiry about maybe sending American citizen criminals there. Is that something that you would like the administration to explore, sending American criminals to El Salvador?
Look, this case, I hear about this due process. Let's talk about this case. There was a valid deportation order for this individual. He's from El Salvador. He's here illegally. He was sent to El Salvador.
That's separate.
If he ever comes back, he'll just simply be deported to another country. So I think the Justice Department, the Trump administration's taken great pains to make sure that the law is followed and due process is actually given. But the truth is, the Democrats, I think, were waiting for some moment. They were waiting. Everybody knew it was coming, waiting for some case that they could rally behind. I just can't believe they're so stupid as to do it with this MS-13 gang member who was allegedly a wife beater.
Got it. Okay. I want to ask you about the president's discussion of tariffs today. He's meeting with the Italian prime minister in the next hour. She's not the only world leader really lining up to work with the president on trade. He posted this morning, had a very productive call with the president of Mexico yesterday. Likewise, I met with the Japanese, highest level Japanese trade representatives. It was a very productive meeting. Every nation, including China, wants to meet. Today, Italy. Now, the EU is looking to ease tensions with the U.S. over tariffs, and the president, as he has stated, is making plans with dozens of countries in hopes of ending China's overwhelming dominance when it comes to trade. The EU, like the U.S., also carries a massive trade deficit with Beijing. What do you think Meloni can come out of this with, Senator? Because on the one hand, she's obviously there to try to bring something home, but the European Commission and the EU Commissioner, Ursula von der Leyen, would technically, legally have to be the point person on trade negotiations. So can she really get anything done today for the whole bloc?
We'll see. I think some of these early deals are going to be really important, Jackie, for setting the framework of what this looks like long term. I think the president is put a marker down that we're not going to get ripped off anymore. We're going to treat you like you treat us. You don't see an American car anywhere in Europe, including in Italy. So I think the net result of all of this is going to be the trade barriers are going to come down. We're going to be much better off. China's a little bit of a different story just because the imbalance is so great. They export 5 times what we export there, and they have all kinds of trade barriers, including tariffs, including stealing our IP, subsidization and dumping and destroying American businesses. So I think President Trump understands we're tired of seeing, the 90,000 factories that went away after NAFTA. He's going to rebalance this equation. We're going to be treated more fairly around the world. I think meeting with Japan, Italy, some of these key allies is really important, and I expect some big, beautiful deals to be struck, and the American people will be better off.
Yeah, and Gordon Chang has a great op-ed on why the timing is really terrible for China to be stalling on making a deal. All right, Senator Eric Schmitt, thank you very much for being with us this morning. Appreciate your time.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.